It's been around 1 year since the world shut down, since we were all asked to stay home, and a lot of people found themselves with a lot more time on their hands to perhaps pick up a new hobby, and a lot of those people picked up a guitar and tried to learn as absolute beginners. One of those people was called Alex. Alex has been sharing his guitar progress on Instagram from being an absolute beginner, and I got to speak to him last week about what that journey has been like. Since then, he has reached 365 days. He's been tracking his progress and sharing it online with the Instagram guitar community for 1 whole year. I wanted to ask him what that experience has been like and get to know him a little better. I hope you really enjoyed this video, and let me know in the comments below when you started learning guitar and a little bit about your journey and what your process of learning guitar has been like over the past year. It's wicked to finally speak to you because I've been following your progress on your Instagram. What made you want to start learning guitar in the first place? Because you started totally at the start of lockdown, didn't you?
Yeah, I mean, it's something I've wanted to do for a while, good couple of years, and I kind of said to myself in the start of 2019 that I'd do it that year, and then as the weeks went on, my year just got really busy. Work was crazy busy. I had loads of plans to like going away and various things. So for one reason or another, lots of excuses. I didn't end up doing it, and came around to last year, and I was like, right, I really want to learn this year. And I guess why I wanted to learn, I've always been into music since school and coming out of high school and stuff, listening to bands like Blink and stuff. But more recently, I've got a group of mates that most of them live around Portsmouth, and all of them play instruments. Some of them are in really good punk band, and yeah, just being around those guys for so long, going to festivals with them, gigs, seeing their own gigs, and them writing music, talking about music, it just constantly being around that when I see those guys, it just kind of roped me in. And one of my best mates, is constantly kind of niggling at me, come on, you should learn. And there was one, thinking back, it's a couple of years ago, two of them got married, Will and Laura, and the wedding, the whole entertainment in the evening was all of these guys just in different groups getting up and performing sets that they'd rehearsed and stuff, and it was quality. And again, just being around that just really kind of pushed me to actually go ahead and do it. And so I decided 2020 was going to be when I was going to do it, before lockdown and COVID and all that sort of stuff. And I had a trip to South Africa that I was going to for a mate's wedding, and I was kind of saving up money for that. And I said, right, as soon as I'm back, now I'm going to do it. And then it just so happened it coincided with COVID and everything and going into lockdown. So it's kind of perfect timing really for learning guitar. So that's kind of why and how it kicked on. And in terms of the Instagram page, I don't know really. I remember actually talking to a couple of mates when I was in South Africa, saying that I am actually going to do it. I'm going to do this when I get back, and just saying I wanted to document it because I wanted to keep a track of progress, see how I was doing. And we were just chatting about you could just start an Instagram page, so I did.
There you go. And it's coming up to 1 year later, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's this weekend.
That's really incredible. And it literally every post has the day number on it as well.
Yeah.
It's an incredible thing. One thing I want to just pick out of that is how much that kind of one support group and also just inspiration from friends and inspiration around you. I think the luckiest thing for me was having an older brother that played guitar. Nice. Without that, I wouldn't have known about this world at all, because you're only aware of what's immediately put in front of you when you're growing up and when you're a kid. And even later in life, you can see movies and one thing or another, but unless you've got friends or people that do something, that play at all, you just never get to have those conversations that can be very inspiring. And then with the wedding thing, when you're seeing all these people come together, and obviously it's a group where people come together anyway, an event where people come together, but then they're able to do something with that more than just talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I imagine that had a very direct impact, did it not?
Yeah, absolutely. As you say, like, you know, bringing the guys together, seeing something that they've spent a lot of time, you know, rehearsing songs that they, you know, wouldn't normally play in some instances, and you know what that brings then to the, you know, the everyone that was there. And as I say, you know, going around and seeing the guys, in, you know, a couple of them that are in this band, going around seeing them play, you know, various gigs around the country, or actually going to they played a festival. In Slovenia. Don't know if you've ever heard of it. Punk Rock Holiday.
Right.
Never.
Okay. I've not heard of that one.
Oh my god, it's like the best place in the world ever. They got on the bill for that, and you know, we all went over there and watched them. You know, hundreds of people watching them at a festival in Slovenia. It was quality, and it's just being around those guys, and yeah, one Rich in particular just constantly kind of niggling at me, just do it, and yeah, I mean he was massive help in terms of literally I had no idea, you know, didn't know what to buy in terms of like, you know, guitar and stuff, and yeah, he, you know, massively helped me out in terms of picking one out and the various bits and bobs that you need.
It is so handy to ask someone, because as much as there's so much on the internet that is helpful, the fact there's so much means it's going to be difficult, because you don't know what to search for as a beginner, other than what guitar to buy. And then you have 10 people telling you 100 different options. There's a weird thing as well, because you're really into like heavy music, but also acoustic. And that is so common with the style of music that you're into, the punk rock, the alternative rock. It lends itself to both. What was the reason you went for acoustic rather than electric? The simplicity of it, maybe?
I don't actually know. I just always, I really enjoy, you know, heavier, faster, louder music. But there's always just been something about those songs being like stripped back to, you know, simple acoustic kind of, again, you've been with mates and stuff at festivals or whatever, or parties around people's houses, and just stripped back kind of, it sounds a bit cheesy, but you know, campfire, all sitting around and someone playing guitar. There's just something been about that. All these fast, loud songs just stripped back to simple guitar and vocals that I've always really liked, and so I guess that probably contributed.
The song kind of shines through when you can take a heavy song and then make it acoustic. You do realise you can only really do that with good songs, I guess. One thing certainly to compare the two, there's an awful lot of stuff that is easier on electric.
Okay.
Literally physically easier on your fingertips. Starting off an acoustic, it does make logical sense. But be aware, especially as you get higher up, everything is harder to play on acoustic guitar. It is a more physical instrument. It'll hurt your fingers more. It literally, when you get these, you know, punk bands screaming for 2 hours and then they do the acoustic set, I bet so many say that the acoustic set's harder.
Yeah.
I guaranteed. Because when most people that are doing those kind of gigs, their voice can take it and they can do the screaming bit. But when they're you get used to whatever you're used to. When you're used to just strumming an electric and then you strum an acoustic for a while, it is just more physical. It takes a little bit.
What is it about it? Because I think I cut off just as you were about to go into what's easier about, or what can be
thinner strings on electric. So it's literally easier to press down strings to hold them down to the fretboard, both for pressing down one string, but also things like bar chords. Bar chords down at this side of the neck especially are much, much tougher on acoustic than they are at electric. This has got gauge 12 strings on it. Most acoustic guitars have 12 or 13, which is the point something of an inch for the thinnest string. So that's how the gauges kind of work. And on electric guitar, it's either 9s or 10s normally. The fact that we can add overdrive and effects to the sound of electric guitar can mask a lot of things as well and make it. I mean, I know the first time I was trying to do lead guitar, like playing one note, I coated my sound in something called reverb, which is a big echo sound. It sounds like you're playing in a hall. And that just covered everything up. And it sounded bad. Don't get me wrong. It's not. Yeah. But to me playing, it covered up, it masked everything so that I was happy just to do this, just to get picking. And it made me do it. Whereas on acoustic, it's kind of, it's not. The one thing that has come out recently, which is pretty phenomenal for this, is when you have acoustic guitars that plug in, so this has a pickup in it. Not only could you have, you know, a lead into an acoustic guitar amp and add some effects to that, which it does make you play differently. It is a consideration. But there's now what's called a tone wood amp, where you can plug it in, it attaches to the back of your guitar, and the effects actually come out of the sound hole.
Oh wow!
You can like play once and have reverb on that, and it kind of sounds like the guitar's like all around you or behind you or something.
Quality.
There's a little expense to that, but for acoustic guitar stuff, there's not too much of that stuff we can buy. There's not a lot available. So little things like that. And I do think with acoustic guitar, they're loud enough, aren't they? So we don't want it louder. Yeah. We don't really want an amplifier. But having the effect when you play makes you play differently. Because when you listen to recordings or when you listen to YouTube, that sound is processed. That sound has effects and processors on it which make it sound better than it did in the room.
Yeah.
I think acoustic guitarists are often have a lot more of an uphill battle than electric guitarists do for those reasons. But it's just daunting to start with electric guitar because you've got so many options. So it's certainly like do what you're going to do. Whichever one makes you want to play it, go for that one. And there was clearly something about acoustic guitar that you were drawn to and made you go for it. But be aware there are things that are easier on electric, and it can be an option later on, literally just for variety, you know, so that every time you strum a C chord, it doesn't just sound like that. You can make it sound like anything.
Yeah, true.
And it also brings out this world of like the palm muting, all that kind of thing. On electric guitar, comes kind of it's a different world to what is there on acoustic.
Yeah.
Cool. So just going back to your like Instagram, what has been the best and the worst thing about doing this for 1 year?
The best thing about it has been just finding other, you know, people and pages, like-minded people and pages that are doing the same kind of thing. And you know, there's a couple of guys and girls on there that you know, all doing the similar kind of thing every day or every couple of days posting. And it's great, you know, the people commenting for advice and actually, you know, picking up on little bits that you're doing and making suggestions about actually it'd be easier if you tried this and that. And that's been so helpful. I follow people as well that have, you know, further along in a journey as well. And, you know, it's inspiring to see, like, watching some videos, I cannot get my head around how people do it. And it's just kind of, it's there as I mean, I don't look at it as a thing like, oh God, they're much better than me, I've got no hope. It's kind of like, well, look, they've obviously started somewhere. This is, if I actually carry on and, you know, if I keep working at this, there could be one day that I'm able to do something remotely close to that, and I'd certainly take that. So that's another great thing as well, again, is seeing kind of how far people have got to with it. As I say, some of the videos are just absolutely mental. I don't know how people do it. Always had like an appreciation of how hard people have to work to be good at it, but I don't think I quite realised how difficult it actually is.
It's always really difficult, and again, when you're starting off, you don't know what you don't know. So every time you learn a new thing and your skills improve, the amount that you don't know but that you become aware of grows bigger. And this is the thing where it can get very daunting learning something like guitar, which when you see someone do it looks so easy. You know, one of my lyrics that always comes to mind with this is "Play guitar like ringing a bell" from Johnny B. Good. And I always remember that thinking, I've played guitar before. It's really hard. How can it be just like ringing a bell? But when it's all happening and when it's under the fingers, it looks like that. But there's that whole process that you don't see. And I think more of that is being shared now online, which brings me nicely to your page is called Gaff's Guitar Daily, right? Something like that?
Yeah.
So you have a bit of a running gag, which is at the end of most of your videos, you mess up. And then you go, oh, damn, oh, shucks, right? Is there any reason you decided to do that? Because you do it in most of, it has become a bit of your thing, right?
I didn't ever intend to, and I think some unconsciously it was happening quite a bit in certainly some of the earlier videos, because I was cocking up so much and messing up so many times that it was happening, and I would then just at that point kind of pause the video and then start again, start a new video, and yeah, some of the posts early on contain those mess ups where, yeah, like you say, I'd say occasionally swear or whatever. Then I think it was you actually kind of mentioned that, you know, that you've noticed that this is happening quite a bit, and actually push through, don't stop, just keep if you mess up, just push through, keep going and keep going. So it's something I've tried to not do as much, but and I think I went through a big spell of not really doing it for a period. But I think now where I was spending a period of time just kind of trying to refine what I knew and just get a bit better at what I knew. And now I'm starting
consolidating
to push myself a little bit. Yeah, and now I'm starting to just push a little further. I'm finding I'm making those making those mistakes again, and the videos that I'm taking seem to, every single one of them, contain a mess up that gets caught on there. So,
well, yeah, let's cover those different stages that you've kind of gone through. So you were certainly, like, from looking at my lessons and just doing what you wanted to do, you were sticking to learning strumming chords, and that's what you were posting for maybe kind of 8 months or something like that.
Yeah, about that.
Marker. Yeah. And then there was that period where, as you say, you were learning more songs, but they weren't necessarily more difficult. They were within your ability, but you were refining, you were consolidating those skills and just strumming songs that you wanted to play, and crikey, enjoying it, because you've worked hard to get to that level, right? So reward yourself a little bit. And now you're getting to that point where you're taking on, I suggested taking on some single string picking. So I've seen that you've done that both with a pick and without. You've looked at some of my basic fingerstyle melody lessons, Happy Birthday and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then starting, which then leads on to, by the way, picking single strings at all does lead towards, you know, rather than all your strumming sounding like for every song, we can start to get some songs literally with one pick and then some strumming, and suddenly elevates it. It means it's not always literally one level.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we're at now. And of course, you're trying to do that, some picking with playing more difficult chords. And at the same time, that can be very difficult. So it's a point where you've got to be careful. There's going to be challenges, but you're pushing through, and that's the way forward. So that's kind of early intermediate level, I would say. Back to the kind of making a mistake and going, damn, and that being the video you post. There's just a thing where it's a fact that whatever we practice is the way that we're going to play it. I've heard, this is a Justin Guitar thing, but he says practice makes permanent. And it's so true. Practicing something does not just automatically get you better. However you practice, however you play something regular, so that's all, even when you're just playing a song, when you're playing it that same way regular, that is just going to solidify and be the way that you do it. And when it becomes a habit to play for 20 seconds, mess up, say, oh, damn, but then stop altogether, that can become the way that you're solidifying what you're doing. And it's certainly that, you know, mistakes are going to happen, but when they do happen, I'd encourage a pause. So say literally, I don't know, say it's between 3 bar chords or something. So maybe, you know, like that. Rather than going, damn, freeze and just look at exactly what happened and go, I was just a couple of millimeters out, and just continue.
Yeah.
And because literally the action of going, damn, and taking your fingers away, you didn't learn anything from making the mistake. And it's literally when that mistake happens, I don't even like calling them mistakes. I like the Bob Ross thing of we make happy accidents. But it's a learning opportunity. It's an opportunity to get better, but it isn't if you take your hands away and you stop altogether. If in the moment you just freeze and then do the right thing and continue while the momentum's there, you can get a lot better a lot quicker. Which sounds, that's something that most people want to do. But when it becomes a habit to do on your channel and you become comfortable posting that, it can be something that you don't notice. There's also another tip that I'll give you, that whenever you play one note and it's a bum note, like just sounds bad, you're only ever one fret away from playing a right note. If I literally do this, it sounds awful. If I move one fret up, it sounds good. If I move the other way, it doesn't sound as bad and would probably work in context with other music.
Yeah.
And it's like a singer singing karaoke. There's nothing worse than if they get close to a note but not quite. It's better if someone's just way out of tune. Because being close to a note being one fret higher or lower from the right note sounds worse, but it sounds basically as bad as it can get, but you're only one fret away from the good note. It's the same thing with the mistakes. You're probably millimeters away of playing it absolutely right. If it's the strumming hand, you're either millimeters away here, or timing wise, you're milliseconds away from it being absolutely perfect. Because there is as well, timing wise with strumming, if you're trying to play this and then you're just a little bit off where it is, there's a range. Very few people are perfectly in time. It's impossible. And it's actually something that sounds unnatural when we can do it. It's like hearing a synthesizer. Doesn't sound like a human played it. It sounds like a computer. So everybody, even the best people, when they're playing, are a little bit off. And there's a range that we call the pocket. In like blues and jazz, they call it the pocket, because this isn't going to happen. This or this is totally fine. And all it takes is this, and suddenly that sounds wrong. So all you're trying to get is closer. You're not trying to, you're aiming for spot on, but we're always actually like this or this. That isn't a beginner thing. That's everyone. That is the best players. And often what the best players are trying to do, there's an advanced technique where you're always trying to be a little bit late, or always trying to be a little bit early. Am I dragging the beat back, which is the Rolling Stones thing. And that can sound better than being absolutely bang on.
Yeah.
So there's all these other things where as you get better, especially, we're talking very small adjustments, fine amounts of detail. And when you're looking at detail, if you stop, if you get into habits like you have done a little bit, it's the equivalent of doing the detail on a drawing and then screwing up your bit of paper and throwing it across the room. You're never going to improve the detail by doing that. That is the only negative that I can point out with your whole 1 year of posting videos. Everything else, I honestly cannot commend you on enough. And I want to make that just abundantly clear, because you've started a new skill. I didn't start any new skills during lockdown. I learned nothing new. What I did do was refine a lot of stuff that, like you said, I'd never had the time or the opportunity to put the amount of finer detail on before, just like you'd never had the time to start this new skill. Which is easier? Probably the doing the detail for me was a lot easier than starting a new skill. You took to starting a new skill, but the honeymoon period's over a little bit now, and we have to look at that detail. And that's what's going to make you playing kick up like absolutely loads. You'll be amazed at how much quicker you can get better. But it's a difference in mentality more than anything. That sound like something you can do?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I appreciate it. And yeah, I mean, thankfully, I'm posting minute 30-second clip or whatever. That's from half an hour's worth of, and I've really have tried to do what you're saying. If I've messed up on a chord change, looking at where my hand is
Just pause
before trying to throw it off.
Pause is fine. We've got to pause when you're learning. We need the time, but the stopping and lifting your hands off means that you never see the detail and you never get to improve that detail.
A huge thank you to Alex for that. You can check out the link to his Instagram in the description below. You can access all premium courses at andyguitar.co.uk, which is part of my new AAA membership, and get the help you need learning guitar. Hope you've enjoyed this one, guys. Bye bye for now.